links in the description to donate to Palestinian families. Y'all should really check them out when this video is done. Free Palestine. I guess I'm a Trolls channel now. I assume most people watching this are familiar with the Trolls trilogy, considering it blew up on TikTok a few months ago, and the fact that I literally gained over 100 subscribers from my video. Thanks for that, by the way. One of the things that I really think made the third movie work so well is how it introduced so many lovable characters. From Branch's brothers to Velvet and Veneer, even minor characters like Brandy really add a lot to this movie. It can be really hard to introduce that many new characters into one film, but I think this one nailed it. No one overstayed their welcome or felt like they didn't get enough time to shine. Now, this video is obviously about Viva and whether I think she was a necessary addition to this movie since, yeah, at a surface level she does seem pretty pointless. Even when I first watched the trailer, I kind of rolled my eyes at the idea of giving Poppy a secret sister that she somehow never knew about. Recently, I was doom scrolling on TikTok and saw someone comment on a post that Viva was kind of unnecessary. Now, I obviously objected to this immediately because I love Viva, but I was afraid that they might have been right. At first. But after thinking about it, I think Viva was actually a vital factor in this movie in a way that might not have been obvious at first. Let's discuss. Poppy and Branch are obviously the main characters of the last two movies, but I don't think anyone would fight me if I said that they're more about Poppy than Branch. So it makes sense that the writers decided to focus on him for the next installment. Poppy kind of plays a more supporting role in this one, mostly fangirling over Brozone and being there to comfort Branch when he was most vulnerable. But I'm gonna come back to that in a bit. Let's go back to the beginning of the movie with Bridget's wedding. Most of the problems I have with this film are very minor nitpicks, and this right here is one of them. Right before Bridget walks down the aisle, Poppy starts rambling about how much she would have loved to have a sister. Personally, I would have had Poppy only start to talk about how much she wants a sister after John Dory arrives. I just think it makes the narrative flow a little better since it kind of comes out of nowhere, but that's just me. Anyway, JD reveals who he is, and Poppy starts talking about how much she would have loved to have a sister, and that if said sister were ever in danger, she'd drop everything to help her. She says this to convince Branch to put his differences with his brothers aside to save Floyd, and considering his life was on the line, I don't think she was being too pushy here. As the quartet are on their way to find Bruce, Poppy is bonding with JD, and she questions why Branch isn't more excited about this, as she believes that the bond between siblings is the strongest there is. And considering John Dory is the most similar to Branch, more on that in a later video, it makes sense that she can't understand Branch's lackadaisical attitude towards him. Now, Poppy has come a long way from the second movie where she just hears what she wants to hear and runs with it. I think in this movie, it's not that she's not listening, she just doesn't have all the context. We know that the Brozone breakup was extremely hard on Branch. It's the first thing that we see. All Poppy knows at this point is that Branch has siblings he never mentioned to her, and even then, JD says that he returned to an empty pod, and it's implied that he assumed the worst. And Branch is being very tight-lipped about this whole thing, and at this point, most of the focus is on the mission. From Poppy's perspective, JD actually did put in the effort, but from Branch's perspective, he didn't. And honestly, I'm on Branch's side with this one, but that's not the point. The point is Poppy doesn't understand what having a sibling is actually like, so there's no universe where she'd be able to comprehend what her boyfriend was going through unless she had one herself. You see where I'm going with this? So after they pick up Bruce and arrive at the golf course, they end up encountering Viva. And while Viva's being herself, Poppy asks if this is how people feel when they meet her. So immediately she recognizes that this girl is a lot like her. And once it's revealed that Poppy and Viva are sisters, they immediately get along like two peas in a pod.
Got me feeling right, feeling right, feeling like the vibes are at my door. Every day, every night.
Poppy learns that Viva was kinda, sorta, totally abandoned by her father, who she holds in very high regard. Up to this point, she was under the impression that Peppy saved everybody the night of the Bergen attack, and now she's learning that he couldn't even save his own daughter. I yapped about this on my Tumblr, so feel free to follow me there for more of my thoughts on that, because while I don't blame him for losing her, I absolutely blame him for never telling Poppy or apparently never honoring her legacy. I don't think Poppy even really processed how messed up all of this is by the end of the movie.
Commercial break!
Anyway, these guys finally remember that their brother is about to die and realize that they should probably hit the road. And Poppy urges Viva to come with her. And Viva, held back by her abandonment issues, can't bring herself to leave her mini sanctuary. And this is the crux of Poppy's development in this movie. She sees with her own eyes that siblings won't always be there for you. And I think it's vital that Viva is a lot like Poppy, because if Viva were quiet, timid, aloof, passive, or frail, then Poppy could just say, oh, well, even though we're sisters, we're nothing alike. But that's not the case. Viva is just as lively and fierce as she is. Not only that, but Poppy knows that Viva has a very good reason for feeling this way, and that it's not out of malice or anything. I'm not saying that this moment here is comparable to what Branch went through, but this moment really helps Poppy see Branch's point of view more. And when the brothers are fighting and Branch tells them all off, she takes his side. Not that she wouldn't have anyway, but I'm just saying that this is the moment where everything clicks. Now, of course, Viva does eventually come to help Poppy when she talks to Bridget, and Poppy forgives her because thanks to Branch, she's more respectful of other people's mental struggles. And this moment where the two reconcile is what makes Branch decide to let his walls down with his brothers at the end of the movie.
Poppy, I'm really sorry about before.
It's okay. Our story's complicated. Who cares if it's not perfect? As long as we're together.
Guys, Poppy said something earlier, and she was right. We don't have to be perfect to be in harmony. We just have to be as we are, together.
So yes, Viva's inclusion was 100% necessary in order to give Poppy some development without taking much time at all from the main story. And she's a fun character, so I think the movie is all the better for it. If this was intentional, it was masterful writing. And if it wasn't, it kind of proves to me how much good character writing can really carry a story. One thing I learned from my creative writing workshop is that people can come up with their own interpretations of your story that you, the author, never would have thought of, but it adds so much to the experience. Like I said, these movies are really fun, and this one left a lot of things open-ended, giving us, the fans, a myriad of ways to fill in the blanks ourselves. So I totally didn't forget to write an outro or anything. That would be ridiculous, but thank you guys so much for watching, and thanks for 1,000 subscribers and for all the love on the last video. That was probably one of my favorite videos that I've ever made. It was so much fun to produce. Anyway, I'm not leaving the Trolls fandom anytime soon, so you guys don't have to worry. I just want to make other videos in between those ones. You know what I mean? Anyway, the links to all my social medias are down in the description. Follow me! Follow all the artists featured in this video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.